thought I fell asleep, didn't you? Bet you did. How's it going? How's it going? Yeah. So did everybody think I fell asleep? Is that what happened here? You guys think I'm sleeping? So we're gonna run through some stuff today. We're gonna run through some stuff. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of speculation, a lot of things to kind of be bullish on, a lot of things that give us something to do while we wait for the market to reverse. Right. Valentine's Day, we thought, hey, holidays, regular days, it doesn't matter. We got to get it right. The grind never stops. It doesn't matter. We're doing this 365. Let's run it, and let's talk about it. Right. I need to get an official song though for the stream, so we can get that like intro waiting type thing going on. But it is what it is. Yeah, I appreciate that, Keto. Definitely. If you guys could like, retweet, comment, get the stream rolling, right? Get the steam rolling. Get people paying attention to stuff like that would be amazing. Especially you early birds, the ones who always show up and are anticipating the stream. I really appreciate you as always. Definitely, amazing to see you every day and see you continue to come back and try and gather the information that I put out there. Again, just a guy, right? Just a guy that's been invested for a long time and trying to just help people out. It's a rough world out there. It's a rough world, and a lot of people try to take advantage of you at the end of the day. That's really their purpose. One thing, right? Because I always like to take accountability. I put out a coin for my followers on Twitter, and it was to the subs, and I thought it would be a cook. The person I got it from is pretty reliable, right? And I was like, okay, this is pretty reliable. Usually gets shit really early. I'm gonna throw it on the timeline. Didn't do too well. The printer one, if you know, you know. I'm still holding, haven't sold, but yeah, it's down bad. It's down bad. Again, it could just be market conditions, right? It doesn't mean it won't come back or anything like that. I don't plan on selling it, but I just want to be kind of transparent out there for everybody. I'm definitely not running any funny business or anything like that behind the scenes. I try to give you guys like this. If I'm buying, I'm telling you guys, right? And if it goes south, I'm riding it with you. Like I'm not going to be that person to sell on you just because I see the market, or the coin that I threw out there going south. Because I have a kind of responsibility to my audience, obviously, to be transparent and to also, if I'm gonna cause you to take a hit, I'm gonna take a hit with you at the same time. Which means whatever I put in, I'll definitely I'll hold that position until we see a lot of money or zero. Right, it's gonna be one or the other. So I just want to throw that out there. Just trying to be transparent. I want to do something a little differently, right? I want to do something a little differently than most people. So I'm just trying to be transparent with everybody. I don't know. I don't think it's road. I think what it was, Alan, is I think there were KOLs involved. I just didn't know. Right. That's something I obviously should have known by the people that were shilling it. But, you don't always know that. You don't always know that shit. And I think there were KOLs, and I think the KOLs sold out because, you saw some of them leave the Telegram, but the team's still there from what I'm seeing. They're still trying to push it. But, I mean, that doesn't mean it won't die eventually anyway. So I've seen this play out time and time again. Sometimes teams give up because they don't feel like they had the momentum, and you can't always catch a good team with a good coin. That's usually why I like to buy when they're down bad versus buy them on launch. That was just a really bad gauge on my part, and so I just want to apologize for that. And I'll do a better job of vetting those things when they come through. And yeah, they're probably there likely won't be any fresh launches coming from me moving forwards. It's always the same old story when you see these things come through, where the fresh launch you get info from good people, and then ends up turning south, and it's always these fresh launches, man. I mean, the Libra coin, we gonna talk about that too. I mean, if you guys think you got rugged, that coin liquidated millionaires, absolutely liquidated them. The coin from Argentina. Yeah, we're getting USDT just for holding as long as there's transactions, right? As long as there's transactions. So that's the thing. So And will you get as much as you put in? That's kind of the other question. Trenches are rough right now, right? They're rough right now, and I'm gonna come at this with a kind of a strategy to a way to kind of approach this, because I think like now is probably a good time to start making lists and holding on to the money that you want to invest and looking for opportunity when it presents itself. And we'll talk about that. We'll talk about what that looks like, how to kind of do that. That's something I want to get into today. The one thing that I posted on, see the American dollar decrease to have a good market. It's not really the so it's that's a hard one. Below, I think it's more than that, right? It's more than just the dollar decreasing. There's a lot of metrics. I would say, Fed reducing balance sheet, rates being somewhere between 2 and 0%, or sorry, inflation being somewhere between 2 and 0%, and then rates being somewhere, around zero. Ideally, that's always the rates being around zero is always ideal, right? That's your big move right there. So that's what I would say would be kind of like your overall dollar you want to see decrease, but like dollar is a funny one, right? So dollar decrease, you got to look at it from the bigger picture of what's happening. Like 2021 was roughly down in here, right? So we hit right in here in 21. And then what did we do right here? Right here, 17, 18, where we ideally came close or topped. Same thing over here, right? We bottomed out here. We bottomed out here. Sorry, this one we topped out. We topped out here around 17, right? And we bottomed out around 18. And then bounced, rolled over, and then we bottomed out in 2021 right here in the same range. So actually, this is actually a good conversation. I like this. I like this. So if that's the case, here, let me do this because I wanna see something, and then we'll get into the CZ discussion in a minute. Good, but I like to think sometimes out loud, and I think this is a good thinking out loud lesson. So looking at this ideally from the dollar perspective, let's see. Yeah. There we go. All right. So that's what I wanted to see. Look, I got all your impulses right here on this chart. Boom, impulse breakout, boom, impulse breakout, boom, impulse breakout, boom. A lot of people sleep on this shit. Let me clear this out though. Let me clear that out. What are we sitting on time wise? Let's go weekly. What are we sitting on time wise up here? Monthly. Yeah, you know what? We'll go monthly here. We'll go monthly. That's fine. So we can track kind of the same thing, because I want to show you something. So let me go like this right here. And let's take a look at this real quick. So this is 20. Hold on. Why do I not have? Oh my gosh. Hold on 1 second. This Bitcoin chart is garbage. Let me back this up real quick. Give me 2 seconds. I'm just going to bring that back and go to a different chart. Do we have everything? Yes, we do. Okay, this one's got everything I need. All right. So this one has everything I need. I don't really have to delete everything either. This will be a good representation of what I'm trying to show you, because since we're bringing up the subject of the dollar and kind of what you can look for, let's get a little more detail in there. And we'll talk about some meme coins, some regular coins, all that good stuff too. That'll be kind of the next subject at hand, but I wanted to kind of touch on that because I think it's a good conversation piece. So this is your market from 2021, to now, right? Ideally. And one thing you'll notice right here is that what? This was your Pico top, right? And then somewhere's over here was like your Pico bottom. And then the market did all this bullshit here, came back and retested, aka bottomed out, and then basically topped out once you reach this same formation here, right? So that was your top out essentially right here. A lot of people don't want to believe that this was the top, but this was the top. It was the top of many factors. It was the top on RSI. It was the top on volume. It was the top on everything. So it wasn't, and you can see right here, like vol was at its highest peak right around in here, died down, and then you had dead vol, right? Telling you there wasn't a lot of momentum for this moon to really kind of shoot out, and that you were likely to do this. So the one thing I wanted to kind of point out is that you topped here, and then you did what over here? What'd you do over here? You topped again, right? Apparently on a Friday. Stream kill it. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Again, like, comment, all that good stuff if you guys could while we're running through it. I know you guys are probably ideally doing something else and don't want to get on it to do that. But if you just hit the like button, it'll only take you a second. All right. So this ended up being the top right here. So range to range, right? We had top into what? Into top, right? And now with this market, we're kind of pushing, and now we had bottom, right? So what does that mean right here? So your bottom of market was what for the dollar? Was it on the bottom or was it at the high? It was at the high. It was at the high. This is why, like, it can be confusing because a lot of people think that dollar has to show weakness, but really this was the Pico high, right? It was the Pico high, and with the Pico high, you ended up what? You ended up with Pico bottom. Now, what I'm thinking here, just a thought, right? Is everybody tries to pretend like they understand dollar to asset ratio, right? They try to say, oh, well, the dollar has to come down. It has to lose momentum. It has to lose momentum. What happens? Just out of curiosity, right? What happens when the dollar reaches back up here, and if the market tops then? Just saying. Could always entertain the thought. That dollar will actually get stronger and assets will rise higher. That's all I'm saying. Like it's not always as cut and dry as a lot of people try to pretend it is. But I will say this, like, again, your bottom here was dollar what? Dollar rising, right? And your top here was what? Dollar losing strength. That was your top. So again, what was your top here in 17? Dollar losing strength. Dollar rising, bottom, right? Dollar losing strength, top again. Dollar rising, right? Bottom, just like over here. Dollar rising, bottom. Dollar losing strength, reversal. And then you start to play here, and now you're starting to get a strong dollar again with price, and likely you'll be where when this all ends. Just think about it. Right? Likely you'll be somewheres around where you started. That's what I would think would be kind of your bread and butter, right? You'll be somewheres around where you started, and the low has been set for the dollar. A lot of people think that this dollar is going to just do this. I think you're going to see some kind of roll before you see something like that. And it's likely the dollar pushes into this range before it pushes into this range. Just like what it had to do before, right? So it's a bouncing ball. Consolidation, breakout, double top formation, breakdown. What did we get here? Double bottom formation, right? Here you get double top formation. And then you come back down, consolidate. And then what I would like to see is this. I'd like to see a break of the trend for dollar. Why? How is it possible? Just like it hasn't, but it's done in the past. It gets to a certain level of strength. And then what do they do to the dollar? They start working on devaluating the dollar, right? They just devalue. Likely, I think we're around those same levels, even where we are right now. I don't think you need to exceed up here like a lot of people are thinking that's a possibility. And I think you'll start getting devalue. But keep in mind, this right here was what year? It was 2008. So once that devaluation starts to occur, you're heading into probably some kind of detrimental crisis. This is why a lot of people that were calling for like this crisis, this market crash, this housing market crash, this bank market crash, like all these different crashes, they were just fundamentally wrong. They were fundamentally wrong because typically the biggest crashes happen during the biggest devaluations of the dollar. And that should in your head mentally make sense, right? If the dollar is crashing, it tells you something is wrong with the economy. It's a sickness in the economy. It's not an asset boom. If the dollar is crashing to this degree, you'll make a lot of money, but you got to understand at some point the implosion will happen. Dollar has to rebound in a big way every time it does a big crash like this. And likely the dollar right now is in one big McDonald's pattern at the moment. For those who may or may not know. And I think it's very possible that that's what we're doing. And this is your trend, right? Your trend to inevitability for the dollar. Your dollar's inevitably going to just stay in this ultimate suppression state. But I think we're loving it, right? McDonald's pattern. We're loving it. That's what I think's happening right now. We're in that period of time where a lot of people are not really kind of paying attention to the macro itself from a bigger scheme. They're just so zoomed in on like what's going on here versus like looking at what's coming ahead of time for the rest of the market. I think we're really close. We're really close to that level of reckoning. Now, if I'm wrong, it's something more like this, right? And then I would be wrong. But ultimately, you would get some kind of retest at some point. But we never got a retest down here. So it makes me think that that's not the case and that we're going to double top somewhere in this range. Relatively, we've already done that. And then the dollar is going to really start devaluating. Now, when it devalues, here's the thing. From here to here, you have a lot of upside. You're good. But when you start to get close to somewhere's relatively around the low, somewhere's around here, it's time to go what? Full cash, right? You don't push for that. You don't push for that kind of devaluation. That type of devaluations are very bad for the dollar. So that's what I would say with this, right? That's what I would say with the dollar. VIX. I mean, VIX is it's kind of its own beast. We've talked about it a couple times on the show. I think personally it's not really anything to pay attention to right now. I think that the VIX itself right now is breaking down. And that's kind of the most ideal thing here. I don't even know where I have the VIX. This is unfortunate. This is very unfortunate. I do think airdrop is pretty bottomed. But let's go. We'll cover VIX real quick. Yeah, so VIX is very bearish in my opinion. Like you had this big crazy wick back up, but like you can see the trend here for VIX. It's in a downtrend, and we're in one of these eras where it's basically down only until you hit this yellow line right here. Down only until you hit the yellow line, up, down only until you hit the yellow line, up, down only until you hit the yellow line, up, right? In 2020, down only until you hit the yellow line. That's where we're at right now for VIX. So VIX is going to continue to see less and less volatility into this compression. And then we're going to get the big expansion, right, of volatility at a certain point, which is, your inevitability at the end of the day. This your 08 crisis is part of this expansion. Your 2021, it happened a little later, but it's part of this, part of this expansion. It just happened a little bit after. So whenever you start to get to expansion, it's big bust, right? It's big bust. We're not nowhere near there in my perspective at the moment. In these downtrends to get to here, you always get these big spikes of liquidity, big spikes of volatility going into this downtrend, right? So, and that's due to liquidity, right? Where you have more and more liquidity just being pumped and pumped and pumped into the economy at the end of the day. That's kind of pushing for the VIX to be this volatile. And we got a lot of forces acting against the market. So, yeah, there's and ideally we could lessen that, but the more and more forces we add to it to act against it, the more and more volatility we're going to see. Nike TLT good. I think Nike is worth taking stabs at. I'm not I know there's not a lot of people interested in it. They think the stock's kind of cooked. And they're also looking at it from the perspective of the trend, right? It looks absolutely horrific, but like every stock this year has gone into the same trend and then reversed. Amazon did it. PayPal's in the process of doing it. Alibaba did it. Even Meta did it. That was another one, right? And I think I said Amazon, but yeah. So there's been multitudes of stocks that have had this kind of drawn on. The pro with Nike, in my opinion, and I'll just say it because I know a lot of people don't like to talk about this stock because they think it has no growth potential. The pro with this is the dividends, right? And if they can do well, which I think they will in time, this is a brand that just goes nowhere, right? It's like Coca-Cola. Your expectations should always be that the brand's not going anywhere. It's never going to go to zero. It's never going to be down only. I know a lot of people have a certain way that they feel about Disney. Disney's one of those too. But like if you get into a dividend scenario, none of that shit matters, right? There's a lot of people that like dividends and they just take those dividends and reinvest them. They get their dividends to a point to where they're getting a residual that's basically livable. And then they're continuing to invest while they're working. And then they get beyond a position of livable dividends and then they can stop working and invest at the same time. Yeah, it's good to own some, exactly. And I think that's important for a lot of people from a portfolio perspective, right? I think Nike's a solid pickup. It's a lot of people will say it's a boomer stock. I don't think that it's a boomer stock. I think like when you look at it from a dividend perspective, they pay a good dividend through Nike. TLT. Let me see. I think I have it on here. I think I have TLT on here. It just you're running the stocks though. You're running the stocks. Yeah, right here, TLT. Oh, look at my mark out. Look at my mark out. Yeah, we're in that range for TLT. We are in that. Like, if you think TLT is going deeper than this, I can't help you. I can't help you. Like this is the low's been set. The low has been set. How long will it settle down here? We'll see. But like TLT is not going anywhere. Again, 20-year bonds. I think that this shit's like bottomed. I think it's bottomed. And I think like this is something to kind of pay attention to if you're looking at way out in the future, right? If you got future plans, 401k type plays, like this might be something to pay attention to. Yeah, a diversified, exactly, portfolio. Kind of a hedge against BTC and ETH. Exactly. And it's funny you mentioned that. This is actually a really good conversation, Satoshi, by the way. A lot of people don't think about that. They don't think about they don't think about the stability that they can have and the residuals they can have with the stability. Yes, the stock won't go up exponentially. It'll basically look like a fucking standstill stock or a standstill bond, but you're getting residuals. right? You're getting paid to just put your money in the box. That's essentially it. And the more money you can put in the box, the more money you'll get paid. And it's not equal dollar for dollar, but it is to a degree that if you don't need that money, you can create a system to where you're just basically loaning your money out and you're getting money back guaranteed, right? That's what bonds are. Same thing with like things like Nike and stuff like that. You're loaning your money out and you're getting your money back guaranteed, aka dividends and so on and so forth. A lot of people don't think about those type of things. So yeah, I like TLT too. Looks really good here. What do you think about gold hitting 12K before ETH? But new treasury sick. Maybe entertaining alternate assets. Here's it's not just the government with gold, right? Gold is it is a hard competitor against the dollar. Why is it a competitor against the dollar? Because once we became off the gold standard, it then became an enemy of the state, right? And once it became an enemy, no government truly wants to tell people to buy gold because it will devalue their currency in a big way. So the dollar was based on gold, and then they moved it to petrodollar, right? Because petrol is what? It can be infinitely mined. It's everywhere, right? It's a non-scarce asset, really. And when you move the dollar to a non-scarce asset, you can inflate it as much as you want. And that's the way the government likes it. They want to have more flexibility, more control over their currency. So they want it to be in a way that devalues our work at the end of the day. Because that's what it takes away from. It takes away from the work that you do when your dollar value is going down and you're getting paid the same amount for 5-10 years. And what I mean by the same amount, obviously you're getting raises, but not equal to the amount of inflation, not equal to the amount of devaluation that the government has put on the dollar. That guy, but you should look at XRP. Yeah, I'll take a look at it. Optimize. Yeah, so I did want to talk about something else too. Oh yeah, it's pumping. So Stellar, Stellar's moving too. I would keep an eye on this. If you think XRP can move, I would keep an eye on Stellar. Usually it moves to a strong degree, a much bigger swing. You'll get a much bigger swing on Stellar than what you'll get on it. I don't know why it moves hand in hand, but it just does. It might be a laggard this time though, right? It might lag behind. XRP ends up getting really high, and then you'll see Stellar move behind that. Yeah. So one conversation I want to get into, and it's the title of the stream, right? Today CZ announced 4.4 million to new meme coins as liquidity into obviously Binance Chain. What do I think about that? And what do I think other people should think about that? So I think it's, it can incentivize stronger coins on BNB, not stronger coins, but a lot more coins to try and hold their value and not rug their participants. Like create real projects like what we used to, not real, they're all meme coins, but create real communities that will eventually go to zero, and slow rug them rather than immediately rug them, which is typically what a meme coin does over time, right? And I think, like, with that being said, like, I think you'll have better chances on Binance Chain in the trenches than what you'll have on a lot of other chains because of the incentivization there of potential, air quotes, liquidity being pumped into your meme coin if your community is strong enough and all that good stuff. So, oh my gosh, I forgot to start abstract again. My apologies. Sorry. This is becoming a consistent issue. 1 second. All right. I fixed it. All right. Abstract's going now. So I'll get 30 minutes instead of the whole hour because I didn't stream it early. So my apologies, people on abstract, but I I keep forgetting you have to hit the start button. Anyways, back to this. So with that being said, I think like the liquidity thing will incentivize coins, meme coins on the Binance chain to try and legitimize themselves and not rug the participants. That's my thoughts. That's all my thoughts are. So what I think people should probably look at it in the perspective, if right, I'm going to emphasize on the if you're trench diving and it's something that you want to actively do, I think it might be worth looking at Binance chain memes if you're trench diving. That's all it means to me. Nothing more, nothing less. Right? So I'm just throwing that out there as something to kind of pay attention to. And I wouldn't buy new stuff. I would buy old stuff with good communities, right? I do like Ponzi's when it comes to memes. I know some of you guys are like, what, bro? Like, what's wrong with you? Why would you like Ponzi's? If you understand crypto, you understand how they work, right? It's all about Ponzi's at the end of the day when it comes to hype cycles and FOMO and all that stuff like that. And there's always liquidity to be gathered, and you can make money on them if you're early. Never come into a Ponzi late. And what is late and what is early? If you see a Ponzi starting to form, which is what I tried to do with that one coin that I gave you guys, if you see one starting to form, try to, if you're interested in it, try to participate in it early and not later. Kind of like Safe Moon and all those other ones. I don't know if you guys remember those from 2021, but a lot of those did really well for the early investors, really bad for the late investors, but really well for the early investors. And so when you see those, it's like, okay, these might be gems. These are something I want to A, keep an eye on, or B, buy now, right? I would tell people for now, at least for right now, with the way the market's been and how rough it's been in the trenches, just make a list. You don't have to buy things right now when it comes to memes. When it comes to trenches, you don't have to feel pressured to do so. I would just personally, like, let's say I got a 9 to 5 and I've been putting in like 500 a week, 200 a week. I would say just start stacking that cash load and then keep your eyes on the trenches. And when you find a gem, maybe you stat for like 2-3 weeks, you got up like 1,500, 2,000, whatever you put aside for investing, and you got a nice little stash, and you find a gem or a diamond in the rough that you think you like. Then at that point, maybe look at that and be like, all right, this is something I want to buy. And you got extra cash flow to put in there than just your normal 500, whatever you're putting in a week, maybe 1,000, whatever it is. And I think that approach will work a lot better for people, to give people the time to breathe, time to evaluate what they're investing in. And then, at that point, get a better position. I think there will be some huge runners. Yeah, so do I, Mika. I completely agree. I think that I'm definitely watching the Binance chain. CZ is a character that is not to be faded. I will say that the man knows how to run the market when he starts hopping in. It's funny because he came in silent after getting out of jail, and now all of a sudden he's just on the timeline, right? So he's like, I served my time. Now it's time to come out and play. And I think this is just warming up. So I actually like seeing Binance Chain starting to heat up a little bit, to be honest with you all, because it's really kind of what kicked off 2021, right? It was with ETH and then Binance Chain, and Binance Chain really changed the game for memes. Like there were some massive plays on BNB, on in the trench game. I would arguably say more than there was on ETH. There was a lot on ETH, but there was like an underground trench game forming on BNB that nobody was really paying attention to, that people were making stupid money in. And I know this because I was participating in it actively. Like if you saw how much money flow I had going through there, it would be wild. And there was one point, it was like 108K. I was moving around buying memes with and shit like that. It was a crazy market. But so ultimately, like, if I would say just like trench dive, look, all that good stuff. and then evaluate, right? Evaluate. Take this time right now to kind of build on yourself and really look at these markets. And yeah, Atari was, yeah, dude, that one got everybody. But yeah, it's one of those times. And really, look, I know Ponzi sound absolutely like shit. I'm not even naming it. I'm just telling you how to approach these, right? If you come at everything questionably, but it looks like it's got a good Ponzi, and you're like, okay, this is a man. I'm gonna get freaking cooked if I ever blow up as like on YouTube or anything. these these more just than I guys are gonna come for me, and it's gonna be like, bro, like I'm just telling people how to play in the markets. I'm not incentivizing Ponzi's or anything like that. Like I'm just telling you how to approach them if you want to get involved with them. But never like I said, never come into them late. Always be early. Um, but I can tell you, like Ponzi's cook. They freaking cook because there's no better way to hook people. And meme coins aren't really Ponzi's in my eyes, right? A lot of these meme coins are just this social club that you're buying into at the end of the day. That's the way I see them. You're buying into a social club and you're hoping everybody will be your friend. And it's going to cost you a lot of money if you continue to hold that social club forever, right? If you hold it to the next bear or something like that, it will cost you a lot of money. But I think like the advantage here is those who know how to separate um, online social clubs from your money. And so you can come into these plays that are basically these social clubs, cheer everybody on, do all the same things everybody else is doing, act degenerate. But, when you start to see chairs getting taken away from the middle of the room, start to realize what's going on and then be like, all right, I need to probably start stepping out myself before we run out of chairs. And that's what I would tell people. So again, if you go into a gym, and then you have no bleachers, and then you get 1,000 bleachers all of a sudden, and then those bleachers start disappearing little by little, probably near top. You're probably near top, right? And I'm talking 1,000Xs, 100Xs, stuff like that. So TP when you run into those are gyms. Anytime. Look, I'm just gonna tell you guys. I'm just gonna tell you. Anytime you catch 100X plus, I'm just gonna be the first one to say it, and people will cook me and be like, "Oh, you're an idiot." Blah blah blah. It's fun. Call me an idiot. Anytime you catch 100X plus, cut 50% or better. Don't cut it all. Don't cut it. Well, okay. I'm not gonna tell you not to cut it all. You can definitely cut it all if you want to. Right? If you come into like you put in like 10 grand, you got $1 million. Fuck it, take it. But if you get into a 100X play, you threw in like $350, it turns into like 100K. You're like, you know what? I'm going to take out like 70, 75, let the rest run. That's perfectly fair. That's reasonable too. I think everybody should look at that, look at these things like that and be like, okay, this is an appropriate way to approach this. And let's not be irrational. Let's be a rational person. And now I've got 75, 80K to really play in the market when I only had 350 originally. You have to take those opportunities, because even though you want that coin to keep going and you want to see that number keep growing, because you're scared to take that money out and put it somewhere else and get it rugged, you're better off taking that money out, probably putting half of it into stocks so you don't lose it, and then playing with the other half if you want to. But ideally, I would say you would still try and buy safe plays and then maybe trench dive a little bit with some of it, right? Be smart about it. Where did I announce it? Oh, I did it on subs only. So I did it on Twitter on subs only. But yeah, so moving back into the market overall, that's what I think of the meme thing that CZ's doing. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think he's incentivizing liquidity. We'll see how it plays out at the end of the day. And I think it will incentivize projects to not just come out and be rugging people like what's happening on Solana about 300,000 times a day. One other thing too, did you guys see the Libra coin? The Libra coin that Argentina did? I thought that was pretty interesting. So they rugged the entire crypto space. I know there were some, because like you could tell when people just got rugged. Some of these guys who have been sniping shit, they came out today and said it's unethical and it's this and it's that. And I know these guys are snipers, right? 100K plus follower accounts on Twitter. And all I can think is they got absolutely fucking destroyed on that play. They didn't get out, right? Likely didn't snipe it well enough, got into the play, and then when the insiders sold off, it absolutely destroyed them. I think a lot of people got taught a really good lesson today. What is that lesson? Nobody's invincible. You may think you have all the insider information, but there's always going to be another insider somewhere else who's going to cook you, because eventually you're going to think that you know everything. You're going to get too cocky, and then the market's going to humble you really fast. I just hope that those people that did lose money on that coin didn't lose enough to really damage, their portfolios or hurt them financially. I do hope that that's not the case. Even the people that I may or may not like in the space, which are very few, by the way. But I would still wish that they would, maybe that they, or hope that they didn't get wrecked too badly on it. I will say that. But remember, market will humble you. Don't think you know everything. But yeah, it was pretty interesting. The insiders of the insiders. Exactly. The insiders of the insiders. That's exactly what happened today. It was interesting. I don't know. I think it was kind of funny watching it play out, but not funny that people lost money, but like just watching, the people that are talking and crying about it are the main people behind the scenes orchestrating a lot of shit sometimes. So, but yeah, so moving back in, I mean, we haven't even looked. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I look at Bitcoin every time I come on stream. I haven't even looked at it today. I haven't even looked at it. 97.5. We good. What is there to talk about? What is there to talk about? Nothing. 97.5. I'm cool with it. Let's run it. Sit here as long as they want. Just don't break down. You break down, we'll come back and we'll discuss it. No, so XRP, I wouldn't even bother with it unless it like breaks all-time high. I'll be real. Like this could definitely be a lower high shoulder. XRP comes back down and eats that entire pump. So be cautious chasing that. I wouldn't chase it. I'd just kind of let it play out. You guys got to buy this shit in the red. You can't be buying it in the green. You buy this pump. This is how they get you every fucking time. They pump it up. You buy it, they dump it right back down to where it started. And then you're like, well, selling again. This thing's going deeper. And then what do? They'll dump it a little deeper. You'll think it's going deeper than that. They'll pump it right back up again. And you'll be like, oh my God, it got candle. And you'll want to buy back in. Don't do that. Don't do that. It's bad. It's bad trading habits. Ethereum still doing fine. 720. I want to see the sweep. Look, here's what I want to see minimum on Ethereum. I'd like to see it break towards the high, but I want to see it sweep, roll, and run. Or I want to see it sweep, roll, and run, which it'll be one of these two is what I think is going to happen here. Or even hit this and roll deeper. I don't care. Why? Because I'm in a long side position. I'm going to cut my position right here. I don't give a shit if it goes higher. I don't care if it goes lower. I'm looking for a big swing here. I'm going to take that swing. 2,500. That was the low. That's what I told you guys. I'm TPing here. I am TPing here. Doesn't matter how bullish the market gets. If it shoots through my TP location, guess what? I'll TP up here. I don't care. Because I'm not going to watch this thing roll back down and get me again. I'm taking my money. I'm also not, if it goes higher, I'm not going to be upset. Because that's not how we trade. We don't trade with emotion. We trade with technicals. That's what we trade with. Which means when you reach technical levels, you sell. Doesn't matter if you can make more money or not. So yeah, that's my thoughts on ETH. Again, just a little bit of pump up. Let's get it going. I like Sui, but I would caution people, right? You want to see this thing go higher. you want to see it exceed right here. So we need to get above 3.85. If it gets above 3.85, it'll likely reverse back up, right? So need to get above here, support, and then you can likely get into price discovery. But you need to flip this first. Otherwise, this can just roll, right? It can just roll. So you have to be cautious here. Don't be too overly bullish at the moment. Again, we're just trading technicals, discussing technicals. So I'm not bearish at all on the market, but I'm giving you the realistic, kind of outlook on what I think can occur in these ranges right now that we're looking at. Solana still doing fine. Again, pin it, breakout, pin it, let it do its thing. There's nothing really to discuss here. The only technical level you need to watch for Solana is you don't want to see it break below 160. You want to see this thing hold 160. It goes below 160, it's likely going to get cooked in a big way, right? That's the only technical level that matters to me on Solana, and we're holding up fine. I think we're like, what, 190 today, 197? Yeah, unbothered. Nice little dump here on BNB. So high consolidation, high retest, breakdown, high breakdown. What I think is, likely to occur is we play this high here a little bit and then hopefully flip it. Otherwise, this is going to be this wick is going to get partially filled and then you'll break out, right? If you get a partial fill in the wick, you're coming all the way back down to 580, roughly, give or take, right? You'll hit 580 as a technical level, and you'll likely bounce off of that. What does that look like from a support standpoint? It also lines up with your high here, the resistance right there, right? So resistance, and then your 50, retest, go. That would be my thoughts on this one. So it's going to be a little tricky. Let it play out. Let it do its thing. No biggie. Again, I really do believe, looking at Lucid, looking at RSI here, Lucid is likely bottomed, right? And we are now ideally playing above the 50 on the weekly. This thing can start swinging really hard. So I think Lucid is a buy. ARC. That's something we looked at the other day. Let's say it pumped up a little bit. This thing looked like it was going to get absolutely slaughtered. I'm not going to lie, but looks a little better today. Drawn on 3 days in a row. Yeah, likely you'll come down more. You haven't even really spiked here on this red day. So maybe like 2 or 3 more days of downturn and then a reversal possibly. Looks like you've hit 4 here, 3 here, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So you could definitely hit 5 here roughly, give or take. Yeah, I'll cover Trump. Give me just a minute and I'll pull that up. Do I need to say anything on this? Do I need to say anything on this? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't. Bake's looking a little floored. Look a little floored. Let me give you the lowdown though here. Bake, right? What is the lowdown? Stochastics high on the monthly, but RSI is floored. Not only is it floored, you got a bull div playing into flat price. Flat price, bull div. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Let's see. Let's see how the old IWM is looking. I don't know if I still got it up nice. Man, look at that. Cheeto in the door. They love playing with this stock. This ETF, IWM, man. It's crazy. So that's your low established. Likely, I'd like to see a breakout here. That'll really be telling on liquidity. Let's get into, I think somebody asked about Trump coin. Give me just a minute. I'll pull it up. Goat's looking pretty good too. Fart coin's looking pretty bottom. Goat's looking pretty bottomed. YNE still continuing to come down. I think somebody brought that up the other day. So everything's kind of playing to the degree of what I've been talking about. I don't think much is really kind of altered here. So let's look at Trump. From a coin standpoint, what are we sitting at? 450. Brother, is this real? 452 mil liquidity. What are we at? Somebody really pumped that shit. 45% up. Starting to get okay, so I think you're bottomed based on volume. I will say that. We've talked about this before. You've got death, interval, spike. Death is kind of occurring as you're dropping, and then you find a point where you start to get high transaction movement, right? Vol spikes. This right here. You could definitely be in potentially a reversal. You're moving off of that, but let's not just go off that. Let's run RSI and stock and see how those look real quick. RSI is not bad. That's not bad either. So really low here. You could definitely do one of these little oopty and then break out and go. But I think kind of hovering this 50 is a little dangerous because you want to be decisively break above, or likely you're going to roll, right? And you don't want to see a roll, but that roll would include, what I've kind of drawn out here where you drop down and pull out. So being on the 50 is great, but it's almost like you're using it as resistance versus using it as support, because you're using it as resistance. You could roll. You could roll here. So this can end up coming back down before it breaks out. I would say that. Well, here's the trick with bots. I'll point this out to you. And there. So sorry if I butchered your name, by the way. The thing is with bots is they stay consistent with volume, right? Bots are never ramping up volume because then they can be taken advantage of. All bots are trying to do is keep activity going based on a certain set liquidity, right? Does that make sense? So like, maybe these $2,000 buys. So a buy will do a 2,000, it'll do a 2,400, then it'll do a 2,600, it'll do a 2,200 again, then it'll do a 2,400 again, then it'll do 2,600 again. And really it's going to kind of switch up maybe $50, $28 stuff in between, and add it to that. But volume relatively remains for volume bots the same, right? Because it's buy, and then sell, and then buy, and then sell, and buy, and sell. So all it's doing is making it look like there's volume on here, but that volume can't be faked here. So this volume is actual really heavy buy volume, right? And because there's really heavy buy volume to this degree, likely you'll get some kind of pullback. And usually this will occur. So think of everything's like inertia and momentum, right? So usually this type of anomaly is what we'll call it, will occur when you got such an amount of interest in the coin that you start to get a really heavy push. And that heavy push buys in here and ultimately will eventually end probably somewhere up here, right? Or higher, right? If they can get into price discovery. But it's atypical to see on these reversals where and again, the bot's been running the whole time. See right here? There's no volume here, even though there was likely high volume here. But over here, this is real. This is a way to tell if there's real volume or not. I guess that's really the best way I can put this. The best way to tell if there's real volume or not are these bars right here. This is just fake bullshit. That's all it is. Because that 561.9 million does not tell the retained liquidity for the day. Let me try and pull up. Ooh, I wonder if I can do this. Give me just a second. I have an idea. So hold on one second. So here's an old Photon account that I have. But let me show you something. And you guys can use Photon to do this too, by the way. And I would highly recommend that you do. But let me show you something. Give me just a second. Let me switch this to something else. Hold on just a second, guys. My apologies on making you wait. I'm trying to figure out how to switch the... Here we go. All right. Here's ETH. All right. Let's do it. You guys want to see how fake the volume is? Let me copy this real quick. Give me just a second. Allow. All right, here's an old Photon that I used to use. If you look here, right, what does it say your daily volume is? What does it say your daily volume is? It says it's 19.75K. Right? Hold on. What is this? Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're on the right one. So 19.75K. If we go to this pool, volume is 176K. If we go to another pool right here, volume is, well, this doesn't tell me shit. Hold on. So far we're up to like 180K, if that makes sense. And I'm running through this to show you all how this works and how manipulated this is. I don't know what these are because they're not showing volume, which means they're likely something else. All right, so those don't show volume. They might be rugs or fake accounts. All right, so you basically, between those two right here, you got 180K of volume. That's it. That's all you have. You have 180K of volume on this coin. But what does it say? What does it say right here? What does it say your volume is? I'm teaching you all something, by the way. I'm teaching you all something about truly something that you should understand, but not everybody does. It says that volume is at 562.9 million. So that means out of 562.9 million, 180K is not botted. That means that they've ran 562.9 million transactions and are collecting transaction fees. And buys and sells are keeping this thing flipping to make it look active. But you did get 180 million in retained volume for the day. So today you are up 180, sorry, not 180 million, 180K. You're up 180K in volume. I mean, on liquidity. Because on Photon, it shows you when people start to sell out the liquidity, that daily volume liquidity actually goes down. So like, let's say you get 180K and they sell it down to like 30, it'll say 30K of volume by the time the day ends. That's why like Photon and these other bots are a little bit better for watching these and seeing what they truly are. So just a heads up, I'm giving you guys an edge. I'm literally giving you an edge, right? Something that you can utilize that a lot of people don't talk about. And there's probably even like big accounts who don't understand that, right? So 180K in volume, although the volume on here is showing 562.5 million, 4 million, which means a lot of it's botted. A lot of it is botted. but you are in the positive on overall. So just as a heads up, so everybody knows, right? And you can do that with any coin. You can go through any coin and do that. But yeah, right now everything looks okay. You just got to get about the 50 there on Trump. Otherwise, it's going to roll, and this thing will get cooked if that ends up being the case. If you all could, though, since I'm trying to offer you all some insight, some knowledge, a little bit of an edge in these markets against other people, if you could like, retweet if you're on Twitter, and comment, no matter what platform you're on, it would be greatly appreciated. We are running that hour marker. I will need to cut the stream here soon. And I have some things I have to attend to this evening. My apologies if we got hung up too much on these things, but I feel like they were actually constructive for people to learn. So that's why I went through the process of showing you this. And we will meet again for now, just so we know, BB, we will meet tomorrow at 6 a.m. I get up at 6 a.m. on Saturdays while most people sleep in. And then subscribers on Twitter, we will meet on Sunday at 10 a.m. Right? I sleep a little bit in on Sunday, just a little bit. And then the rest of you, I will see you on Monday, this coming Monday in the evening. As always, thank you again for showing up, coming through for me. I try to come through for all of you just the same way. And hopefully you took something away from this evening's discussion. I feel like we had a good cook session. I really do. And I really hope you all appreciate that. And, we can definitely continue to have these moving forward. To everybody else, have a great weekend. I hope it's awesome. I hope you all are able to make some money, utilize some of this info I gave you, and, dig out gems in the rough and be able to play this market the way it's intended. I still think we're in a bull. I still think everything's fine as far as the way structure is going. I don't think there's any black swans ahead of us or anything like that, although there could be dips in volatility, right? So I think that people should remain right now patient and look for good, solid entries on solid things right now. Again, we talked about some good stocks too. Again, appreciate you all. Like, retweet if on Twitter, comment, please, please, please. Thank you very much. And everybody have an awesome evening.